Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque denied rumors that he was arrested in the Netherlands.
Congressmen Arjo Ataide and Dean Asistio faced the ICI to fight allegations linking them to flood control anomalies.
Zaldico claims presidential son and Ilocos Norte Representative Sandro Marcos was also responsible for budget insertions.
Pag-asa continues to monitor Tropical Storm Verbena as it moves west-northwestward over the Philippine Sea.
Former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque denied rumors that he was supposedly arrested in the Netherlands in connection to his human trafficking case for his alleged ties to a Pogo hub. Here's the report.
Rumors swirled online claiming that former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque had been arrested. Several social media posts alleged that the fugitive lawyer was taken into custody at his residence in the Netherlands. The supposed arrest was even raised during Senate plenary debates for the Department of Foreign Affairs budget.
Can you ask the DFA if they have news about the breaking news now that former Secretary Harry Roque has been arrested in the Netherlands? It's in the news. Check it out if it's fake news or whatever.
While it's in the breaking news, Mr. President, the DFA is still in the process of verifying as they've had no information from the Netherlands. We will revert as soon as it is confirmed po.
Despite the exchanges, the Senate adjourned without any confirmation from the DFA on Roque's alleged arrest.
Wala kaming nakuha confirmation. We were talking to the Philippine Embassy in The Hague. Yung binanggit nila na just in, we never got any confirmation.
Even the Department of the Interior and Local Government stated it has received no official communication confirming the reported arrest. Roque immediately denied the rumors in a Facebook post, saying he was not arrested and that he had a scheduled flight to Vienna, Austria on November 25, showing a copy of his plane ticket. In a separate interview, Roque clarified that the Dutch government booked his flight as part of his asylum request since his visa was issued in Vienna. However, he did not continue with the trip due to health reasons.
Unang-una, hindi po ako na-aresto. Voluntaryo po yung pagsama ko. Kasi nga masunurin ako. Kaya lang, nung tinanong ako, gusto mo bang lumipad? Siyempre, hindi. Meron akong 2 medical certificate unfit to fly. Kaya lang, akala ko wala akong choice. So nung tinanong ako, siyempre hindi. Pinababa ako kaagad. So wala pong arestuhan.
But questions remain. How was Roque able to travel abroad when the Pasig Regional Trial Court had already canceled his passport? According to the DOJ and the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission. Roque insists that the court order is not yet final and that he still has 15 days to file a motion for reconsideration.
Meron pa po akong 15 araw para mag-file ng motion for reconsideration at nagfa-file po ako ng motion for reconsideration.
The DOJ, however, maintains the cancellation is final and executory.
Pag may order na canceled na siya, di ba? Pag kinalat na natin yung impormasyon, hindi mo na magagamit yun. Because of the cancellation order, diba, wala nang epekto yun.
The Department of Justice is offering a 1 million peso reward for credible information that leads directly to the location of Cassandra D. Ong. Ong is a key suspect in a qualified human trafficking case linked to the Pogo firm Lucky South 99. The bounty was announced after the Pasig City Regional Trial Court ordered the cancellation of Ong's passport along with several others. Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission said Ong was last tracked in Japan earlier this year.
At this point, let's get the latest from Independent Commission for Infrastructure. We have with us mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, what's happening sa ICI?
Magandang umaga, Angela at Diego. Nandito nga tayo ngayon sa ICI kung saan ngayong araw inaasahan na magpapatuloy ang mga pagdinig nito. Ngayon nakatakdang humarap dito ang 2 mga mambabatas na kasama doon sa mga binanggit ng mag-asawang Sara at Curly Diskaya sa pagdinig ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing. Ayan ay sina Quezon Province 3rd District Representative Reynante Arrogancia at Occidental Mindoro Representative Odie Tariela. Nakakuha tayo ng mga impormasyon na nandito na si Arrogancia sa loob ng ICI pero hindi tayo nakakuha ng mga material niya at hinihingi pa natin ng kumpirmasyon dito sa komisyon. Pero mamayang mga alas 11 raw ng umaga ay inaasahan din na darating ang ilan sa mga representante, mga mambabatas mula sa Makabayan Block para nga maghain ng kanilang panawagan dito sa ICI para sa sasagawa nitong investigasyon.
Meron pa ba mga nag-request ng executive session just like sila Congressman Arjo Ataide and Asistio?
Actually, Angela, itong dalawang mambabatas, sila Arrogancia at si Tariela, ay isasagawa kaparehas sa executive session yung kanilang mga magiging pagdinig. Pero malaking tanong pa din kung paano nga ba ito nagiging proseso, kasi may mga naririnig tayo at mga panawagan na dapat daw yung executive session ay habang nangyayari na yung hearing, hindi pa bago ito magsimula. Kasi ang ilan daw sa mga technicalities na to, yung may mga pangalan na babanggitin na, tsaka pa lamang magiging sarado o eksklusibo yung magiging bahagi na iyon ng pagdinig. Pero kahapon, at least doon kanila Representative Arjo Ataide, sinabi nga na yung executive session ay tinanong sa kanila ng ICI pero nung kalaunan ng kinahapunan kinumpirma ng ICI na yung dalawang mambabatas mismo ang nag-request na gawing executive session ang kanilang mga pagdinig.
Well, perhaps baka you can tell our viewers, 'di ba, kung ano yung nakikita nating role nitong dalawang mambabatas na ito ngayon na haharap sa ICI tungkol nga dito sa maanumalyang flood control projects.
Angela, kasama sila doon sa mga binanggit na mga mambabatas, sina Arrogancia at Tariela noong September 8. Nito ni actually specifically si Curly Diskaya. Ito yung aniya kasama sa mga mambabatas na nangihingi ng siguro lagay o suhol para maaprubahan yung kanilang proyekto at hindi na magkaroon ng anumang problema. So ito yung nagre-range daw ng 10 to 25% na mga kickback doon sa mga flood control projects. At ngayon, after how many months na nabanggit nga ang kanilang mga pangalan, ngayon sila pa lamang dadating dito sa ICI para ipaliwanag ang kanilang posisyon.
At anong areas kinabibilangan itong dalawang congressman na ito?
Itong si Reynante Arrogancia, Angela, ay mula sa Quezon Province, 3rd District. And then ito namang si Aliodi Odie Tariela ay mula ito sa Occidental Mindoro.
And kasama yan doon sa 400 plus na ghost flood control projects na unang iniulat ni President Bongbong Marcos himself.
Actually, Angela, hinihintay pa natin kung kasama nga ba yan doon. Pero kasi so far yung basis nito yung siguro yung affidavit na nauna ipinasa nila Curly Diskaya. Kasi yung itong ICI kasama sa mga pinagbabasehan nila at pagbatayan ng kanilang mga case recommendation ay yung mga nakaraang pagdinig ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing kung saan doon nga nabanggit ito ni Curly Diskaya. Kaya ngayon pinatatawag sila dito yung mga mambabatas na ito. Kasama actually sila sa listahan nila at Taide at nito ni Asistio na kapwa dumating din kahapon. And then ayon nga dito sa ICI, patuloy pa rin yung kanilang mga case recommendation at investigasyon patungkol sa mga maanumalyang flood control projects ng pamahalaan.
Okay. Alright. So aside, it's been weeks since nagrekomenda ang ICI sa Ombudsman ng mga personalities na kakasuhan at yun nga ay nakita na natin nakasuhan yung iba ay sila ay nakulong na, naaresto na. Meron pa bang mga napipintong soon na recommendation ng ICI sa Ombudsman na mga kakasuhan?
Mamaya, Angela, ay magkakaroon ng bagong case referral na pagsasama yan, ICI and DPWH joint case referral sa Ombudsman mamayang alas 2 ng hapon. Hindi pa natin nakukuha ang impormasyon kung sino-sino nga ba ang mga bagong personalidad na muling papangalanan o muling mapapangalanan dito sa ipapasa ng mga case recommendations sa ICI.
Alright, so medyo nakikita ko ngayon na dyan sa ICI, maraming tao sa likod mo. Kasi usually kapag nagre-report ka sa amin, medyo kalmado yung yung paligid mo. Can you tell us what's happening there right now?
Angela, kanina inabangan natin 9:30 kasi nakaset yung pagdating ni Reynante Arrogancia mula sa Quezon Province. And then itong 10:30 naman inaasahan na darating nga itong si Tariela, And then kanina hindi tayo ganito kalat dito dahil akala nga natin dadating pa ito si Arrogancia at makakakuha tayo ng material. And then ngayon hinihintay na itong si Tariela na dumating dito. Pero kaninang umaga may dumating dito na mula sa Taguig Police, no, kung saan merong bomb squad na kung saan ayon sa kanila nagsagawa lamang sila ng kanilang mandatory, no, na pag-i-inspection dito kasi sa DOE compound. Kasama daw ito sa mga vital installations ng pamahalaan para masiguro nga yung kaligtasan ng lahat. Pero hinihintay pa natin yung impormasyon kung sino nga ba ang naglapag ng utos na ito at kailan ito na aprubahan, no, at kung magiging araw-araw na nga ba ang ganitong eksena dito na kung saan may K9 dogs talaga na inamoy yung ating mga gamit doon sa media room at iba pang bahagi ng establishmento ng ICI.
Okay, so
let's clarify ko lang, no, medyo naiwan ng konti, pero yung regarding sa kotse ni Bryce Hernandez, last time we spoke, di ba, they were determining kung paano nila ibibenta to, kung maayos naman ang papeles, kasi kanila diskaya, nabenta na yung iba
Tama ka dyan, Diego, no? Yung sa pito nga, no, nabenta yung ilan doon. Pero itong kay Bryce Hernandez, nananatili itong nakaparada dito sa likod ng ICI, dito sa compound na ito, at hindi pa natin nakukuha yung pinaka-latest update dyan, no? Kung ano na nga ba magiging plano, kasi parang nakikita daw parang legally obtained naman ito. Pero yung pera na pinagkunan para mabili ito, doon nagkakaroon ng parang galing daw, di ba, sa mga anomalya, sa mga kickbacks na nakuha nito ni Bryce Hernandez at sa mga Ghost Flood Control Project. So, dinedetermine pa yan nang sa gayon, hindi rin matapakan, no, yung ilang mga batas na umiiral at nang sa gayon, maging legal yung pagsusubasta man kung kakailanganin, though, sinurrender na ito ni Bryce Hernandez. And actually, dalawang kotse to, may isa pa tayong inaasahan matagal na, no, parang isang Ferrari car na dapat din isusurrender niya, and then mga relo at mga motorsiklo, pero wala pa tayong nakikita na mga ganon hanggang sa ngayon.
Si Alcantara ba, walang paramdam na magsusoli ng kahit ano?
Wala pa tayong ganun nakukuha impormasyon, Diego, at pati yung pagbabalik nila dito, no, yung muling pagdinig para sa kanila, hindi pa rin nakikita dito, wala pa rin ganung eksena so far. So aabangan natin yan sa mga paparating pang araw.
Well, last on my part, Arles, every day we are uncovering new personalities na allegedly involved nga dito sa mga flood control projects na ito. At isa nga dyan dun sa mga sinabi ni former Congressman Zaldico, si Congressman Sandro Marcos. No, I was wondering kung is ICI is also contemplating on inviting him para nga maimbestigahan pa rin itong kaso na ito. Ganun din, yung isang congressman na nalilink din sa mga anomalous flood control projects na si Congressman Guardiola na from si CWS party list.
Angela, simulan natin doon, no, kay Representative Sandro Marcos. Actually kasi, hindi lamang si Representative Sandro Marcos, maging si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos at House Speaker Martin Romualdez, in-implicate nga nito ni Zaldico. Pero actually, nung nagsimula pa lamang na i-release nito ni Zaldico yung mga video niya, no, tinanong na agad natin sa ICI kung gagamitin ba nila ito na magiging basis ng kanilang investigasyon. Ayon sa kanila, yun nga, kailangan pa daw i-verify ito para masiguradong hindi tampered or pineke. So ngayon, medyo hindi pa siya mare-recognize, no? And then naabangan natin kung magkakaroon din ba ng plano, kasi ngayon ang hindi tayo nagkakamali, Angela, yung Makabayan Block na darating ngayon ipapanawagan nila na gamitin yung video ni Zaldico para imbestigahan yung iba pang mga iniuugnay sa flood control anomaly. Kailangan lamang natin intayin sila at makumpirma nga yung mga ganitong mga hakbang, no? And then bukod naman dyan kay CWS Party List Guardiola, noong mga nakarang araw dumating dito si Leviste, no, mula sa Batangas 1st District. Nagbigay daw siya ng ilang mga impormasyon sa ICI na makatutulong na mag-identify nga raw dito, pero ngayon wala pa rin kumpirmasyon kung ipatatawag na nga ba siya ng komisyon anytime soon.
Alright, with that, maraming salamat sa iyong oras. Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos reporting live from the ICI headquarters. But ito lang, no, sa kapapasok lang natin na balita, DPWH Mimaropa official Montresis, no? Montresis Tordesillas Tamayo has already arrived at the Sandigan Bayan after being at large. Siya po ay kasama doon sa 16 na akusado na sinampahan, kasama po ni Bicol Representative Zaldico and others facing graft and malversation charges dito nga sa 289 million substandard flood control project scam sa Oriental Mindoro. No, if you can remember kasi yung unang-unang mga areas na inilabas si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos upon their investigation na yun nga allegedly ay mga substandard or ghost flood control projects.
Pero hinintay ng mga kababayan natin ang big fish. Oo. Ayaw nila ng maliliit na tilapia.
Well, there's a parang assurance from DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla yesterday saying na abangan nila this December nga daw there will be senators, there will be congressmen na makakasuhan at sila ay makukulong at hindi magkakaroon ng special treatment dun sa mga kulungan kung saan sila ilalagay.
Well, we understand walang special treatment but kailangan din yung security level nila mataas because ayaw naman natin may mangyari sa kanila sa loob. We want them alive to face the charges.
Of course.
Diba? Alright, tension inside the lower house is far from over. A former Congressman, Zaldico, drags Majority Leader Sandro Marcos in the ongoing flood control controversy. Mobile Journal Amy Atienza has the report.
The tension continues between lawmakers as former Ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldico, who has allegedly been involved in the anomalous flood control projects, dropped the involvement of Majority Leader Sandro Marcos in the same controversy. In a video statement he released on Tuesday, he said,
"Hindi lang po ang Pangulo ang may insertion sa budget. Pati po si Congressman Sandro Marcos, meron din pong pinapasok taon-taon."
Further, co-posted photographs of the billions of insertions that were allegedly made by the Majority Leader. The list contains 9.636 billion pesos of budget insertion in 2023, 20.174 billion pesos for 2024, and 21.127 billion pesos in the 2025 budget. This totaled to 50.938 billion pesos in 3 years. However, Marcos was quick to deliver his response. In a statement, Marcos asserted that Co has no credibility and that everything was made to destabilize the government. He even said, quote, "Sa aking mga kababayan, si Zaldico ay hindi po isang journalist o truth crusader. Siya po ay isang kriminal na umiiwas sa hustisya. Huwag po tayong magpabudol sa kanya." Talks on flood control projects continue as the Independent Commission for Infrastructure carry on with its investigations. Meantime, the House of Representatives also paid tribute to late Juan Ponce Enrile for his long years of public service in the country. Enrile served as Cagayan 1st District Representative from 1992 to 1995. During the tribute, House Speaker Bogie T recognized his achievements as a public servant.
Ang kanyang pamumuno ay huwarang dedikasyon, ay nagsilbing inspirasyon sa sambayanang Pilipino upang tumindig at ipaglaban muli ang pagsilang at patuloy na pangangalaga ng ating demokrasya. Habang idagawad natin ang parangal sa natatanging si Manong Johnny, hindi lamang kanyang mga nagawa at tagumpay ang ating pinapupurian, kundi higit pa rito ang kanyang matibay at taus-pusong paglilingkod sa sambayanang Pilipino.
Kapatid Amy Atienza, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Now, before we proceed to our next news, this was just in a little few minutes ago. Official or DPWH Mimaropa official Montrexis Tordesillas Tamayo has already arrived at Sandigan Bayan after being at large for so many days, if I'm not mistaken, kasi nga nagkaroon na sila ng arrest warrant. Siya po ay kasama doon sa 16 co-accused in the alleged 289 million substandard flood control scam doon po sa Oriental Mindoro. Kasama po sa mga co-accused niya dito ay si former Congressman Zaldico. They are all facing graft and malversation charges.
All right, tropical storm Verbena intensifies further as it moves northwestward over the Philippine Sea. For more updates, we have Pag-asa weather specialist Benison Estareja. Benison, go ahead.
Good Good morning, Sir Angelo, Miss Angela, and all the viewers. As of now, we have Tropical Storm Verbena actually intensifying further into a severe tropical storm. It was located at 290 kilometers west of Coron, Palawan. Maximum sustained winds of 95 kph and gustiness of the 115 kilometers per hour. At kumikilos po ito westward at 35 kilometers per hour, expected to exit PAR by tomorrow morning. As of our 5 a.m. bulletin, meron pa rin tayong wind signals over the extreme northern portion of mainland Palawan, including Calamian Islands, and signal number 1 over northern and central portions of Palawan plus occidental Mindoro. Yung rains expected pa rin po coming from Verbena over Palawan and occidental Mindoro, and the trough of that severe tropical storm is also going to affect Metro Manila, nearby areas in Central Luzon and Calabarzon, as well as Mimaropa down to Aklan and Antique. Yung shear line and the northeast monsoon affecting naman po sa natitirang bahagi ng Luzon. Sa eastern side, the shear line is affecting and bringing scattered rains and thunderstorms over most of Cagayan Valley and Cordillera region, as well as the rest of Central Luzon, Ilocos region, and Batanes, light to moderate rains due to amihan, whereas yung mga hindi natin nabanggit na lugar, Bicol region, rest of Visayas, the entire Mindanao, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some isolated rain showers or thunderstorms.
So Benison, yung Central Luzon all the way to NCR, ano yung maasahan natin? Binanggit mo may rain na magkakaroon ng ulan, no? What kind of rainfall warning can we expect?
Yung pag-ulan po natin over here in Metro Manila and nearby areas, hindi na siya ganun kalakas as compared po kahapon, no? Pero may chance po na magkakaroon pa rin tayo ng mga light to moderate rains, especially dito sa may eastern sides, yung mga malapit sa mga bundok, madalas yung mga pag-ulan over Metro Manila. Less chance na magkaroon naman ng mga heavy rainfall warnings. So
how about tomorrow? All clear na ba tayo, Benison?
Meron pa rin pong effect yung trough ni Verbena, so mataas pa rin ang chance ng ulan even though hindi naman po siya tuloy-tuloy. We're talking of Metro Manila, itong Cavite, Batangas, Bataan, down to Mindoro and Palawan pa rin.
Okay, so kamusta naman yung binabantayan natin na weather system outside our Philippine area of responsibility at ilang porsyento yung posibilidad na ito ay pumasok sa atin?
Sorry, meron po ba? So far, wala pa naman po. No? Wala pa tayo naman
kasi yesterday sabi nung isa yung weather forecaster meron daw, pero medyo malayo pa.
Kumbaga, actually, yung sa TC threat potential, may possible po na mabuo within the next, beyond 7 days. And wala pa siya physically talaga. Pero pag may mabuo po, hindi natin tinatanggal yung chance na magiging isang bagyo rin ito because for December po, we're expecting 1 to 2 tropical cyclones.
Yeah. But at this point ba, nakikita natin yung magiging track nun o hindi pa naman?
General kasi pag December po, mababa talaga yung track niya. Madalas naglaland po siya sa may Bicol or Visayas and Caraga, tapos nagtatraverse po talaga ng bansa.
Benison, regarding amihan, lumalakas na ba ang effects nito going down over to Central and NCR?
Somehow nagre-reach na po siya dito sa may Central Luzon, pero hindi pa natin nakikita na lalakas pa ito further down dito sa may Southern Luzon anytime now. We're seeing kasi na yung shear line in effect pa rin dito sa may Eastern Luzon, so hanggat hindi bumababa yung shear line, ganun din yung amihan.
Pero wala na tayong mga maasahan ng mga 35 or 36 degree temperature sa bansa?
Apo, for Luzon, mababa na yung chance na magre-reach pa tayo ng mga pang mga earlier mga temperatures during the summer months, so wala naman po.
Alright, with that, maraming salamat sa iyong update, Pag-asa Weather Specialist Benison Estareja. In other news, Vice President Sara Duterte is breaking her silence on questions about succession and corruption controversies, affirming she is constitutionally ready to step in while denying any role in alleged destabilization against President Marcos. Here's the report.
In an exclusive interview with News 5 aired Sunday, Vice President Sara Duterte was asked whether she would be willing to assume the presidency in the event of a coup against President Bongbong Marcos amid the corruption issues tied to flood control projects.
Yan ang hindi ko muna sasagutin kasi magkakagulo tayo niyan.
But on Tuesday, during an ambush interview, the Vice President was pressed again.
In case of course, Of course. There is no question about my readiness. Pinesenta ko sa inyo yun. Ang sarili ko at alam ko na first in line ako sa succession. Wala nang tanong doon kung ano ang gagawin ko. Yun ang mandate sa akin ng Constitution. At alam ko yun nung ako ay tumakbo. At binoto ninyo ako as Vice President, knowing that I am the first in line.
The Vice President had already denied any involvement in destabilization efforts against the administration as rumors of an alleged coup continue to circulate alongside corruption allegations in government. She also said she finds former Congressman Zaldico's claim credible that the President and his son, Representative Sandro Marcos, were involved in budget insertions.
Hindi niyo ba nakikita? Bakit hindi nakikita ng mga tao yun eh? It's a matter of reading the budget. Lahat ng ebidensya nandiyan sa budget. His signature on the General Appropriations Act is the best evidence against him.
Vice President Duterte was also asked about President Marcos' recent remarks on Senator Amy Marcos after the senator accused the president and the first family of using illegal drugs. In response, President Marcos said he barely recognizes his sister when she appears on television. But Vice President Duterte offered a different view.
Sa tingin ko it fits the profile of a drug addict na ginagaslight yung mga mahal nila sa buhay. Na kapag sinasabi nung mahal nila sa buhay, may problema ka, sasabihin nila na wala akong problema, ikaw yung problema. It's a very characteristic response of a drug addict. Ginagaslight nila yung mga nagmamalasakit sa kanila.
For News 5, I'm Bril Montalvo. We are One News.
Senator J.V. Ejercito accused several Bureau of Internal Revenue officials of running an extortion scheme by abusing letters of authority. Ejercito claimed that the officials kept up to 70% of collections, while only 30% went to the government. He added that the scheme was expected to generate 6 to 8 billion pesos, but only 2 to 3 billion pesos was officially reported. He warned that LOAs and mission orders documents meant for tax audits and enforcement have become tools for corruption.
Now let's discuss this further with Senator J.V. Ejercito himself joining us now via Zoom. Good morning, Senator, and thanks for joining us again.
Hi, Diego, Angela, good morning. Nice to be back again in your show.
Yes, well, Senator, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Senator, another scheme you have this time na si you exposed it. How much really are we losing sa mga nangyayari sa BIR, and how long has this been going on?
Well, Diego, Angela, I first brought this up during the budget hearing of the DBCC, of the Economic Managers. The Department of Finance was there, Secretary Recto, and the new BIR Commissioner, Charlito Mendoza. I was supposed to bring this up and prepared for Commissioner Lumagi, but unfortunately, before the hearing, he was already replaced.
Right.
So I just manifested and let the new BIR Commissioner know about these complaints, because I've been receiving complaints from businessmen, from local businessmen for the past 2 years. So, sa mga socials lang, sa mga events, a lot of them approach me and have been complaining about the harassment that they are experiencing right now from the BIR examiners, RDOs, and that these are random people. No? But what really prompted me to really bring this up already, and I was really disturbed, is when the European ambassador, some members of the American and European Chamber already are complaining that even their investors who are already here in the country are also subject to harassment by BIR, and this does not paint a good picture of us, no, internationally. So I just had to bring this up because sobrang na, no, yung LOA that I was that we are now talking about has been weaponized for extortion. Buti sana Angela, kung 70% pumapasok sana sa gobyerno, 30% lang sana yung masakit man pakinggan, pero baliktad eh. 70% yung kanilang
kickback,
dinatakma, 30% lang yung resibo. So that's the sad state, Diego and Angela.
Well, do you think, Senator, si former Commissioner Lumagi, kaya siya nawala dito sa kanyang posisyon because of this alleged extortion dyan sa BIR? You think may kinalaman to?
I really do not know what the reason was why he was replaced, no? Just before the budget hearings. But probably big possibility, Angela, no, and Diego, because of the, as I've said, there are really numerous complaints already for the past 2 years that I have been receiving, and I'm sure that a lot of this has already reached the top officials. You know, I ride my motorcycle, I go to Visayas, to Mindanao, and then I get to talk to some business people. It's the same complaint all over. It's not only in Metro Manila. So it's really widespread already. And I think this really has to stop. It's sad that we are already facing one of the darkest moments in history with the Floodgate scandal, the biggest corruption in our history. Tapos meron na naman to, BIR naman. So parang hawa-hawa na itong culture of corruption. So this really has to stop.
If it's widespread, Senator, across the regions, do you think may isang grupo dito sa main office that is running this? Or it's just a coincidence na may kanya-kanya silang racket per area?
You know what I think about this, Diego, Angela, no? It's parang leadership by example na ito. If they hear that in the past 2-3 years, some of the leaders are living grandiose, extravagant lifestyles. We heard of, itong mga contractors having 25%, 30% kickbacks.
Yes.
So si DPWH siguro, sabi niya, bakit sila lang? Di kami rin. No? Nakita ni BIR, bakit sila lang? Di kami rin. So it has become already a culture already the past 2 to 3 years. So if the central office knows this, I'm sure they have received information because it's too widespread and a lot of people have been complaining, and even the foreign investors already are complaining. So whether Commissioner Lumagi acted on it or did not act on it, that we have to find out in case there will be a Blue Ribbon Committee hearing on the said issue.
I just like to clarify, Senator, with regards yung sa letter of authority na ito, pag hindi po pumayag ang isang investor or businessman to go along with the scheme, ano daw ang ginagawa sa kanila ng mga examiners?
Well, of course, they are being harassed. No? Ang modus yan, Diego, Angela, they were really assessed very high, no? And then they will try to negotiate. Of course, I know the mentality of a businessman because I was also in business in the 90s. Lahat tayo takot sa BIR eh.
Yes, that's right.
For the babalikan ka niyan, yung natakot, babalikan ako niyan sigurado. So they more often than not, they would choose to just settle, no? What I heard, for example, 3 million yung assessment of a small, medium scale enterprise, no? Maliit na business. Then they will haggle and they will settle for 1 million. Ang masakit doon, 300,000 lang yung resibo. Yung 700,000, binulsa na. Sana, masakit man, sana baliktad man lang eh. Pero at least, I have heard a lot of testimonies na talagang about 60 to 70% is really being bucketed by these examiners and officials.
Malaki-laki itong
But Senator, of course, mahirap naman yung heard lang, yung sinabihan ka lang. I was wondering if you have documents, receipts, di ba, to prove these allegations.
Or actual witnesses.
Or actual witnesses that could testify and would say na ito talaga yung nangyayaring scheme sa loob ng BIR.
This will be the challenge, actually, Angela, Diego. As I mentioned, knowing businessmen, how they think, they will really be scared to be,
right.
that the BIR people will retaliate on them. And even the business people that I get to talk to, they refuse to, to be named. Kasi nga takot silang balikan sila. No? But I think the mere fact that new DOF head, DECGO, and new Commissioner Charlito Mendoza already suspended LOA issuance, at this time, means that there is truth to this already, Pero yun lang, the challenge of getting witnesses will be quite tough, because mostly are businessmen, small and medium scale and big businessmen.
But I was wondering also, Senator, kung were you able to trace back kung kailan nagsimula yung ganitong klaseng scheme sa BIR? Was this just for 2 to 3 years or deeper pa yung nito, yung pinanggalingan?
I've been hearing about this again from random people I meet in events, in socials, the past 2 to 3 years. Parang ngayon siya gumrabe at the same time that the floodgate scandal and all of these modus in the started by the contractors. Parang sabay-sabay sila so I think it was the past 2 to 3 years that it really became very rampant. But the sad thing, Diego, Angela, is that yung mga previous years, yung mga cleared na in businesses, by the use of LOA, they are tracing back. So talagang binabalikan nila. And that doesn't give a good signal for business people, especially for international community. Wala tayong clear-cut policy na on how what would be the extent, kasi pwede ka palang balikan, cleared ka na.
That's right.
So there are a lot of issues that really need to be discussed, and Senator Erwin Tulfo already filed a resolution to investigate, so I might file one also. So hopefully we will be able to have a hearing on this. And again, it's a challenge, but I'm hoping that someone will really come out and be a witness. It's a challenge kasi business people will really not dare fight BIR.
Well, Senator, now that you've opened a can of worms sa BIR for a particular scheme, and you and I, and most of Filipinos have been in business for a long time, we all know may mga ibang modus that we have experienced one time or another, and may fear din tayo kasi baka ma-retaliatean tayo. But are you going to now look at the other schemes? We all know yung permit, minsan iipit nila yan kung walang pamerienda or wala pang, yan ang term nila So, titignan nyo po ba lahat?
Marami talagang enterprising sa gobyerno There are a lot, there are a lot of laws already, policies that somehow they really get to find loopholes and napaiikutan talaga nila ito yung mga missing papers, yung mga missing requirements, yung papabalik-balikan ka. So marami talaga modus, And I'm hoping that the new economic managers, the new team of the Department of Finance, BIR, could come up with safeguards and clear-cut policy on this LFA. We support revenue-generating measures or programs. But wag naman sanang abusuhin that we are already killing our businessmen, lalo na yung mga small and medium scale. Di bali yung malalaki, they have their law firms to deal with the BIR. Right. But the small and medium scale enterprises, sometimes the sad thing, Diego, Angela, I just received, I was tagged in a Facebook page na she was assessed 10 million, she ended up paying 7 million, and she ended up selling all that she has para lang hindi siya makulong, and build her business. So, we really have to support small businesses, instead of harassing them to the point of closing, kasi these are the lifeblood of our economy as well.
Okay, so doon po sa sinabi nyo nga po na widespread na nga ito, possible in different regions, do you also see or upon your investigation na ito talaga yung parang pinaka-standard singilan nila, 70-30, or sa ibang region merong ibang presyuhan naman doon?
I think iba-iba naman, pero from what I heard, this is the usual na 70-30, and meron nga isang businessman just texted me, no, part of the chamber, meron pa nga silang 80-20 at times, no. So we'll try to find out. We'll do our best. Hopefully if the Blue Ribbon Committee takes this up, and we will try to find out kung what's the extent on ano talaga yung tarahan po nila dito.
But are you recommending as well the possible, kumbaga parang suspension muna of the alleged officials involved in here to make sure na, di ba, during the investigation, hindi ma-compromise yung mga evidence, if ever?
Well, that will be the call siguro of the Blue Ribbon Committee, probably the chairman, so that probably some officials need to take a leave of absence if ever they will be accused, no, so that they cannot influence the investigations that will be ongoing in case it starts.
Yeah, Senator, I'd like to ask na, kasi you mentioned kanina na madami na tayong batas, madaming loopholes, and I know what you're doing right now is in aid of legislation. Because I've heard some luminaries say na what we need right now, and with all the corruption that is ongoing in all agencies, is there a reporting mechanism na pwedeng gawin natin out of the current agency, similar to that of, I think they were referring to Italy, with regards, they have a separate reporting mechanism for corruption that can happen para malakas ang loob magsumbong yung mga tao?
Well, right now, because of this, you know, Diego, Angela, we really need a major reboot, no? Because all agencies of government are already, talagang already tainted, no? With too much corruption. And we can take a look at what other countries, yung mga yung kanilang practices, no, that were effective in curbing corruption, and probably we can adapt some of those. And from what I know, our ombudsman naman is very active right now. We have a very active ombudsman right now that he said that he will really have a crackdown on all of these corrupt officials. So probably they will have an app or something, or probably yung third party that you are discussing will be worth looking at, no? If it's a good practice in other countries, and if it's successful, probably we can adopt those.
Quickly lang, Senator, idudugtong ko lang, sasabi mong major reboot. Ano po stand mo din for a major reboot, such as changing the form of government?
Well, siguro anything done within the Constitution is okay, no? Because I think we have already experiences that anything done outside of the Constitution, yung mga extra-constitutional, that would lead to years of years of instability, no, politically and economically unstable, no, because there will be questions on the legitimacy of the government in case there will be an overthrow or a power grab, and we have seen that already in, well, of course, 86, 2001, even after my father stood down for 9 years. Of GMA, under GMA administration's legitimacy was always in question. So, it was really politically and economically unstable. So, I'm hoping that everything has to be within the framework of the Constitution.
Well, Senator, before we let you go, since you're here na, samantalahin ko na rin, tanungin ko na rin po kayo regarding dun sa video statements ni former Congressman Zaldico. Do you believe in that? With the investigations also that is ongoing right now, going on right now, may mga nahuli na regarding dito sa flood control mess.
Well, Angela, Diego, just like any ordinary Filipino, nakakagalit, no? I mean, seeing the first time I have seen that much money on top of a table that it will just go to one person. Nakakagalit, no? Limpak-limpak na salapi. And I think this is one of the darkest moments in our government's history. This is the biggest corruption scandal ever, no? And I am one in asking for accountability, for justice. Pera po natin yan, no? But not to defend my colleagues or the Senate. This whole scheme really started in the House of Representatives when these congressman contractors devised this scheme. Sila Saldico and Company naman nagsimula niyan eh. From what I gathered, because I came from the House, no, marami rin nagkikwento sa akin doon ng mga congressmen na on what really happened. No, they across the board in 2022, they reduced 30% per district, no, and they pulled them all together into one fund. No, all districts, the board, and then they offered these projects to their co-legislators and contractors as well. Kung gusto mo ng extra project, kung gusto mo ng dagdag na proyekto or funds, you have to get it from their group at 25%.
Yeah.
Tapos may parking pa na 5%. So that's 30% already. Kung dadagdag mo pa yung mga portion ng DPWH, ng COA, it's a collusion eh. Talagang i-go-ghost na lang or substandard. So that's what really happened the past 3 years. No? It's a collusion between some legislators or proponents and DPWH officials that really devised this scheme. Ako, I am for accountability. Let us not lose focus. Minsan kasi naririnig, wow, senador, may mga big names, but let us not lose focus if we want to in aid of legislation for the modus not to repeat itself, para hindi na ito maulit. Those real culprits and the modus, dapat we have to find out how they did it so that it will not happen again. So Saldico and Company really started all of this together with the DPWH officials, and all of those guilty really has to find jail time para naman may matakot. Nung wala natatakot sa bansang to, wala kasi nakukulong na big fish dito eh. Okay. Yung mga hinuli mga DPWH na those are small fries, medium fries. Gusto natin big fish. We need a major reboot. No, kailangan natin linisin ating gobyerno.
All right, with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Senator JV Ejercito.
Thank you.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Business World kicked off its 2026 Forecast Forum, bringing together key economic and industry leaders to discuss growth opportunities amid today's widening disruptions. Mobile journalist Ray Vicente has the report.
With its theme of seizing new growth opportunities amid disruptions, business newspaper Business World held its annual Forecast Forum 2026.
This year's Business World Forecast gathered economists, industry experts, and policymakers that explored economic shifts and the future of country's technology. President and CEO of Business World emphasized the crisis today that shifted the country's economy.
Our breakthroughs are forcing our businesses to evolve and adapt. This time, however, we grapple with a more sinister form of disruption. That is a corruption crisis, which combined with political volatility is weakening the peso, dampening the country's growth prospects, dragging the stock market.
Del Monte echoed the importance of transparency in business, charging the path amid such disruptions.
Transparency is an economic necessity because investors respond to clarity and trustworthy leadership. In all of these disruptions, our program today is built around the key questions and, more importantly, the opportunities that will define the Philippines' trajectory in the next few years.
The forum also discussed how the digital landscape like artificial intelligence is now moving from adoption to integration in the Philippines. And amid fears in AI, business leaders cited how the digital world today contributes to economic growth.
In banking, digital channels now handle most of the transactions. In healthcare, technology is expanding reach, improving patient management, and strengthening service delivery. In retail and logistics, Data is enhancing customer experience and improving operational efficiency. The country is now among the region's fastest growing digital payments markets.
Forecast 2026 aims to bring conversation in shaping a more innovative Philippine economy. Kapatid Ray Vicente, we are One News.
The red carpet rollout for French cinema in Manila as the 28th French Film Festival kicks off with a gala night, celebrating culture, collaboration, and women's empowerment. Mobile Journal Francis Rivera reports.
The Embassy of France in the Philippines and Micronesia, in partnership with SM Supermarket and SM Cinema, held its gala night for the 20th French Festival at SM Aura last Tuesday, November 25. Hosted by TV anchor Ches Caliton, the talkback session opened with welcoming remarks from SM Supermall's Executive Vice President for Marketing, Joaquin San Agustin.
At SM, we believe that films are more than just here to entertain. They help us understand other cultures, appreciate new perspectives, and spark creativity and dialogue.
The ambassador of the French Republic to the Philippines, Marie Fontanelle, highlighted that the French Film Festival has sustained its commitment to women's rights and gender equality.
It's no coincidence that we launched this gala night on November 25, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And we will present in about a moment a beautiful movie which places women empowerment and women's fight against stereotypes and all kinds of discrimination in the spotlight.
Following the talkback session was the screening of the Filipino short film Agapito and Contour, starring Angelina Jolie and Garance Mariler. Garance gave us a glimpse of the film she will be presenting at this year's festival.
First, there is Couture, the new movie of Alice Vinocourt, which is about three women working in the fashion, but it's not about fashion. And then we will have Marinette, about the real story of Marinette Pichon, a soccer player. And the movie half Canadian, half Philippine, from Marianne Métivier, which I will discover with you too. So yeah, very excited.
The 28th edition of the French Film Festival focuses on French-Filipino co-productions, feminist cinema, and animation. You can catch this year's French Film Festival at SM Aura and SM Manila Cinemas from November 24 to November 30, 2025. And great news for cinephiles and moviegoers. All screenings for the festival are free on a first-come, first-served basis.
So it's my first time here, and so I can wait to meet you all and to see and share about cinema with you. Mabuhay!
Mga kapatid, mobile journalist Francis Rivera, we are One News.
Signal is set to deliver full multi-platform coverage of the 33rd Southeast Asian Games in Thailand from December 9 to 20. The rollout spans One Sports Plus, TV5, RPTV, Pilipinas Live, and Signal Play, ensuring fans can follow every moment of the Team Philippines campaign across free TV, pay TV, and digital streaming. Signal says the network is ready to showcase the strength and resilience of Filipino athletes as they compete for gold on the regional stage.
Ayan, so what started out since a DPWH, customs long time ago, nagkaroon sa DepEd issues sa laptops. Ngayon may BIR.
Department of Agriculture pa yan.
Sabi
Farm
nga
to Market.
ni Senator Ejercito ni JV, napaka-resourceful naman ng mga ibang rotten eggs sa mga ahensya.
Actually, it's been happening. We all know that. And even we were just
I mean,
young,
he said naman,
ngayon pa lang nagkakaroon ng lakas ng loob ang mga tao na mag-imbestiga.
When the senator nga was saying na he was in business, alam na natin lahat yan. Bata pa lang tayo, starting out in life. We all know, but most of us are keeping quiet with the fear of retaliation. But with all of this that's happening, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote. When we hold ourselves accountable, we give others permission to trust us. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. Kapatid, we are One News.
All sides, all the time.